Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, my name is Bobby. Guys, it has been a long time since we reacted to the Army of Satan series. Today, the Army of Satan part 16, the dark side of feminism. Guys, before we jump into the video, as always, if you enjoy my content, leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, check out the links in the description box below to further support my work, and check out my new ebook in which I talk about my reversion journey from Christianity to Islam and everything in between. And now, with no further ado, let's have a look. Alright, let's stop this real quick. Ibn Umar reported, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, Dajjal, the Antichrist, will come upon this marsh of Marikanat near Medina. Most of those who go out to him will be women, until a man goes back to his wife, his mother, his daughter, his sister, and his aunt to shackle them tightly, fearing they would go out to him. Yeah, so basically what this is saying is that the majority of people that will get deceived by the Antichrist, they will be women indeed. I have to say this is not surprising at all. Women and men are completely differently wired when it comes down to perception. There is this funny saying that women fall in love with what they hear and men fall in love with what they see. This is why women wear makeup and this is why men lie. And we of course know that the Dajjal will be lying, will be deceiving, and therefore the majority of women will hear what he has to say, and they can be easily swayed and emotionally manipulated into following him. This is not surprising at all.
This hadith tells us that the majority of the follower of Dajjal will be women, and the impact of Dajjal's deception on women will be of such intensity that it will require men of a family to coercively stop their women from being deceived by the fitna of Dajjal. Meaning that when Dajjal's mission is reaching to its climax, something strange will happen to the world of women. A great progressive deception in the world is under the process today, which will cause the woman to reach to a point that when they see Dajjal, they will go out and join him. And this deception is hidden behind a phenomenon called feminism. It doesn't mean that every woman is being deceived by Dajjal, because there are Muslim sisters who are much better in their beliefs than most of the men. But it means that the most of the followers of Dajjal are women who came under the influence of Dajjal's deception in a way that they are being brainwashed and lose the capacity of rational thinking. They believe whatever is being presented to them by Dajjal or his followers, and that's how these women go out and join him. Therefore, they become like robots in the hands of Dajjal.
Now, when we look at the issues of feminism, we have to understand that feminism in the West is quite different from what many of you might think feminism is as Muslims. Because the background, the history which produced feminism in the West is different from the background for Muslims. There are some rights which Western feminism has introduced which are anti-family, which are really anti-femininity,
100%.
which promote lesbianism and other deviant behaviors and practices. This has become chartered in the UN. In their women's conferences, these are being promoted.
Yes, in
the
UN,
boundaries of what was just,
fraction.
fair and just. It now shifted into radical feminism, which identified men as being the enemy. They talk about the patriarchal society, that the only way women are going to be truly free is if they divorce themselves from men. Practically.
Yes.
Especially now with technology, women can have a baby without the direct intervention of a man.
Still need a man.
They have sperm banks where you just make the arrangements, you get it, and you can have a child.
From a man.
So they say we don't need men. Of course, they still need the men to provide the sperm. So it's not that you don't need men, right? But the point is that even marriage now was being looked at as being a place of oppression of women.
Yes, absolutely. This is what feminism led to. Nowadays, most women hold feminist tendencies without even knowing that. They would actively say that they're not feminists because in their mind, when they think about a feminist, they think about a blue-haired lesbian or something, and they say, well, that's not me, I'm not a feminist, but they do hold feminist ideologies. Matter of fact, the same is true when it comes down to liberalism. Most people nowadays, males and females alike, they hold liberal tendencies even though they don't identify as a political liberalist. Still, they are liberal in their world view without even knowing that. They're subscribing to certain ideas. And matter of fact, this basically is society because most people don't define themselves. They don't really put themselves into a box. They don't really ponder and reflect what their ideas, what their ideologies, what their belief systems are. And therefore, they just live like a leaf in the wind. They're being swayed one way or another, influenced by the social media, through mainstream media, through politics, through their environment, etc., etc. And therefore, yes, feminism ultimately trickled down into society and changed all the norms. Back in the day, just the generation of my parents, divorce was absolutely unthinkable. Now it is the norm, right? And with the norm, I'm not saying that it is normal. It will never be normal. But because most people do it nowadays, it becomes the norm. And this reminds me actually of something very, very disgusting and filthy. Do you remember when Adam from No Jumper podcast started doing pornography with his wife? That wasn't enough, right? They opened up the door to that. And then after that, they progressed further and further and further. First, they started introducing multiple women. Then all of a sudden, Adam had sex with women outside of their OnlyFans business, I think. I'm not too sure. Doesn't even matter. But the point of the story is that in the end then, his wife had sex with another man on camera. And when he got confronted on that on another podcast, they asked him ultimately, and this is again a very liberal stance, they said, hey, you know what? You are consenting adults, so therefore what you want to do, you can do, no worries. However, how about your children? You have a daughter. So how about her when she goes to school, when she grows up, you know? And then other children will say, well, we saw what mommy and daddy did there on OnlyFans. How will you react then? And Adam, who is an atheist, he answered to this, well, you know what? Back in the day, this was frowned upon. Back in the day, this was strange. But now more and more parents actually do it. So therefore, I am sure that society is progressing. He calls this progress. And when my daughter is in school, I am certain that there will be other parents that will do OnlyFans as well. And this is how this will be normalized then. Anyways, to keep it as short as possible, no, this is not normal, but society has bought into it. And first and foremost, women have bought into it because men have allowed it. And this is why we live in a sick society right now.
Because the idea that the man, is the head of the family and all this, no. They looked at that as being oppression. So they have launched an attack on the family itself. And this is what has now dominated the women's conferences that are connected with the UN, etc. The American and European feminists, they have dominated the discussion.
Yes, absolutely. I have to confirm this. The UN has an agenda at hand and they want to introduce so-called female rights, gender rights everywhere, in every single country on this earth till 2030. At least that was their plan. Now I think they extended it a little bit longer because it takes a bit more time. However, that means that LGBT, etc., has to be accepted in every school, so on and so forth. They call this human rights. It goes under the human rights umbrella. But anyways, what he stated there as well is that women nowadays see this as oppression. They see the patriarchy as oppression. It is quite funny, nowadays, because women feel so empowered, they will tell you about their femininity and how women see certain things. And you as a man are supposed to accept that as the gospel, right? You have to accept it and say, yeah, sure, I guess you're right then. However, when it comes down to males, when it comes down to men, and we as men try to warn women about other men because we understand male psychology because we are men, they will blame it on patriarchy, on being controlling, and in the end they will tell you, yeah, well, you are like that, and nobody else, right? And this is so extremely funny to me, because women know other women. They do understand female nature, but they are building a reality on which men do not know about female nature, and this is basically how they can deceive and manipulate. But anyways, the point of the story is, just as females understand female nature, we as males understand male nature, of course. And therefore, dear women watching, if your man tells you something about men, he's correcting certain things in you, he's trying to guide you, accept it. It only comes from his urge to protect you. Nothing more, nothing less. But in this day and age, as I said already, all of this is controlling, of course, right? When the man tells you, hey, dress modestly, for example, they will say he's controlling, or they will say, he's insecure. I need a man who's not insecure. But what does that truly mean, insecure? So is it about now you wearing something sexy and then other men see you and they try to approach you and now your man gets into a fight because of it and he fights off the guy, the creep that tried to creep on you? Is this confident really? Or isn't it just better to prevent such escalations? But moreover, when it comes down to a woman dressing sexy outside, what is the purpose of that? Many women nowadays will say, I just want to wear what I want. I want to feel sexy. I want to feel beautiful and whatnot. Okay, but for who? They will always say, for myself. But that is so ridiculous. It is never for themselves. Nobody does anything for themselves alone. This is absolutely ridiculous. Males and females are alike. 99% of men would stop working out altogether if there was nobody else around. Imagine yourself, you would live on a lonely island. Nobody would be there but you until you die, right? Would you work out then? Most people wouldn't. I personally still would because I really enjoy the feeling, but most people wouldn't. And now think about makeup. Oh yeah, really, you really want to put on makeup, dear women. I am sure you want that, 100%. If there was no person around, no man, no woman, nobody for the rest of your life, you would never put on makeup ever again. This is just factual. This is what it is. Especially in a scenario where you're just on a lonely island and you don't have a mirror and you don't have your smartphone, etc., you name it. So stop lying. Women don't do that for themselves. They do it for the looks. They do it for the attention. Because currency for women is attention. For us males, currency is different fold. You could say power is a currency, money is a currency, but for females, attention is a currency. This is female nature. It is what it is. And therefore, if they receive attention, their ego gets fed. And this is, of course, how Satan works, through the ego. They want to go out, they want to feel pretty, they want to be seen by other men, and you should be secure about that. Yeah, absolutely. When a woman goes out and she dresses up provocatively, she's not dressing up modestly, you can basically see her body, you can see her sexual parts. Okay, what is happening? Other women will see her and they will give her the look. So they will get jealous of her potentially. Maybe they will even start desiring her men. This happens as well in female psychology. Other than that, other men will see her, and now what will those men think? If those men are not capable of lowering their gaze, and 99% of people are not, 99% of men are not, then they see that woman and then they think of her as a sexual object. And now again, women will say, just be secure about it. Don't be insecure. I don't need an insecure man. Okay, fine. But what is the point, truly, of other men desiring my woman? What is the point of that? And then they will say, yeah, well, they can look, but they can't touch. So why can they look? Back in the day, this was frowned upon, and nowadays, not anymore, right? And it goes so far that women have bikini photos, for example, on their Instagram, for other men to look at their bodies. And I don't believe that women are that naive that they simply don't know. Maybe when they're 14 or 15, potentially. But no woman in their 20s and their 30s doesn't understand this. This is deliberately delusional then, that they don't understand that other men see them as sexual objects. Honestly, I would really like women to do a self-experiment. Take a sachet of testosterone gel and apply it to yourself. Only one time, so you understand the sex drive of a male. As I stated already, we males fall in love with what we see. We are visual creatures. So therefore, when we see a woman dressing up sexually, we see her as a potential mate right away. No, it's not only me, it's every male. Your daddy, your granddaddy even. Everybody thinks like that. And when you're dressing up like that, you're inviting that attention. And moreover, dear ladies that want to be themselves, they want to feel pretty, beautiful, whatever, think about what kind of man you will attract this way. You will not attract a man that wants you for you. You will attract a man that wants you for your body. And this will happen over and over again, and you will get disappointed in life. But you do you. Since marriage constitutes slavery for women, it is clear that the women's movement must concentrate on attacking this institution. Freedom for women cannot be won without the abolition of marriage. And this comes from Sheila Cronin, a radical feminist leader and potentially CIA agent as well. The end of the institution of marriage is the necessary condition for the liberation of women. Therefore, it is important for us to encourage women to leave their husbands and not live individually with men. All of history must be rewritten in terms of oppression of women. We must go back to ancient female religions like witchcraft. And now again, women will watch this and they will say, yeah, well, I don't subscribe to witchcraft. I don't subscribe to this. The point of the story is that this is a trickling down effect, and therefore you don't adapt the whole, but you do adapt certain tendencies of this world view. This is what is happening, and this is why divorce is rampant, this is why promiscuity is rampant, etc., you name it. In order to raise children with equality, we must take them away from families and communally raise them. We got to get them away from any male influence. Yeah, good luck with that. Let's raise men without men. Well, let's do this. This sounds great. Single mother households, they have a track record of being absolutely amazing. It's top. The most merciful thing a large family can do to one of its infant members is to unalive it. Yeah, this is Planned Parenthood, the founder of it. Good. My body, my choice. Abortion is the necessity of millions of women worldwide for their dream of a better tomorrow. Yes, for better tomorrow, because they couldn't control themselves in the now, right? They couldn't protect themselves, and then they're gonna say, oh, well, both have to take care of protection. Okay, you jumped into bed, you followed your urges, you couldn't control yourself, and now you need a better tomorrow. Man, the better tomorrow, even if we go down this rabbit hole, you could have taken the morning after pill if you really had to do what you had to do, right? But no, now you're gonna dream of a better tomorrow and unalive a baby. Good stuff, dear feminists. Amazing. Linda Gordon says families must be destroyed and people must find better ways of living together. The breakup of families is an objectively revolutionary process. Yeah, let's co-parent. Let's go. Amazing. Traditional family must die.
This is so amazing evil. How confused the women are today about their role.
Yeah.
And they are confused because massive efforts are being done under the name of feminism in order to cause this confusion among the people. And as a result, the marriages and families, the primary building block of social and moral order, are in shambles. Much of this is laid at the feet of feminist movement, because it has overturned the thinking of women so dramatically that they have forgotten their real precious value and important responsibilities that are given by their creator. What the public sees about the feminism is that women want equal pay and they want to be free from certain social strictures. And we may think it's a movement for stopping violence against women, but the real agenda is much more serious.
The Prophet ﷺ said, "O Ibn Masud, from the signs of the hour is that young people will be rich and there will be movements to corrupt women." Yeah, that is right now, man. Crypto babies, huh?
This is our Prophet speaking. And he said, you will see Mirka Subyan, young people having massive wealth.
Oh, even younger than this guy.
Zuckerberg is a multi-billionaire before he was 30. And you will see Mu'amaratun Nisa. You'll see the movements to corrupt the women.
Well, one of the things they told me was that he was at the house one night and he would talk and he started laughing. He said, "Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about?" And I said, I had pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote, you know? And he started to laugh. He said, "You're an idiot." And I said, "Why am I an idiot?" He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, you know? And we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He says, there were two primary reasons. And they were, one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was, now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up their family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the two primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. You know, when I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, the thought of it, I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble adventure.
Aaron, did you know that Gloria Steinem, in one of her own books, now admits the CIA funded Miss Magazine?
No, I had no idea about that. No, I never heard that.
Yeah, we're gonna.
CIA funded Miss Magazine?
Funded Miss Magazine with the stated goal of taxing women and breaking up the family.
No kidding. I never heard that. Well, Nick told me. I mean, I know it, but not because I know the CIA was involved in it.
Well, Gloria Steinem was proud of it. Oh, the CIA wanted to help me help women.
No kidding.
So they funded it, yeah. And of course, it's divide and conquer.
Right,
and what they do is they focus in, obviously, on real problems. Women were getting shafted in many ways, but the elite wasn't planning to help them. They were planning to really shaft them and take men away from them.
The reason we have to take...
Yeah, unfortunately, this is exactly right. And women, again, they don't see this nowadays. First and foremost, women got into the workforce. They started working and they thought that this is some sort of empowerment. Now they can be just like men. Wow, cool, we can work. And through work, they started getting taxed, right? Before that, you couldn't tax half of the population, basically. And like this, you could extract much more money. But moreover, now you have to send the children at a very, very early age into school, where they are getting indoctrinated into the liberal worldview. This is truly what is happening worldwide. And because men and women are working now, they simply really have no time at all anymore for their children. And this is why they have to go to school. And this is why they have to stay in school basically the whole day, being brainwashed, because mommy wants to work.
This movement, seriously, is because they constitute fortress. They constitute the speculations, the ideologies, the proud intellectualism that's erected in our society and has a formidable place. They're influencing the law. They're influencing the courts, and they have a massive influence on education. All you have to do is realize that this is how the university system thinks. That's where the school teachers are all trained, and you see how it filters all the way down through the educational system. They try to create laws, and we have to live by the laws that are obliterating all sense of moral and religious views. And their ideas are being taught through every possible medium, whether it's educational system or entertainment. And as a result, we have a brainwashed society which is following their evil ideologies.
Unfortunately today, some people, even Muslim sisters, follow the feminist movement without understanding the evil agenda behind it, because mostly the truth behind this movement goes unnoticed, although it is very obvious. Yeah, it is pretty obvious, but as we said already, unfortunately women fall in love with what they hear, and therefore you just give them terms that sound good: liberation, against oppression, my body, my choice, freedom, 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 and then they fall for it. Okay, this is music, Ariana Grande, which, by the way, you should check out her early life. Anyways, Ariana Grande sings, "I don't wanna waste no time, yeah." This sentence already. Anyways, you ain't got a one-track mind, yeah. Have it any way you like, yeah. And I can tell that you know I know how I want it. And nobody else can relate. Boy, I like that you ain't afraid. I mean, there's nothing in comparison to other song texts nowadays, but anyhow. And I can be all the things you told me not to be. And he see the universe when I'm the company. It's all in me. Yes, exactly. This is this is this new agey mumbo jumbo that females subscribe to. You see this on Instagram over and over again, reel after reel. When you get into the female algorithm, it's quite amazing. I am the universe, everything is in me, and I am nothing that you tell me to be. My one, when all is said and done, you'll believe God is a woman. My one, it lingers when we are done. You'll believe God is a woman. I tell you all the things you should know, so baby, take my hand, save your soul. We can make it last, take it slow. And boy, if you confess, you might get blessed. See if you deserve what comes next. But people don't get it, you know, because it is music. Some people will say, oh, well, this is just fun, you know, just dance to it. They don't understand how it programs their subconscious mind, and then they become it. But they really don't see it, unfortunately. This is subliminal programming, of course. The CIA has heavily invested into it. But well, there it is. God is a woman. God is a woman. My body, my experience, my sexuality, my choice, etc.
1,400 years ago, in the 7th century, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had stated in his farewell address, Khutbatul Wida', he had said there in that khutbah, يا أيها الناس ألا إن ربكم واحد. O people, your Lord is one. وإن أباكم واحد, and your father is one. ألا لا فضل لعربي على أعجمي. By Allah, there is no superiority of an Arab over a non-Arab. ولا لعجمي على عربي, or for a non-Arab over an Arab. ولا لأحمر أو أحمر على أسود, and there is none for whites over blacks. ولا لأسود على أحمر, nor for blacks over whites. إلا بالتقوى, except based on the fear of Allah. This statement 1,400 years ago is a statement of civil rights, a statement of equality, which was only reached by Western civilization in the 19th and 20th centuries. So we have a different background. Our laws are divinely revealed laws, revealed by the creator of this world and everything in it. That khutbah or speech which Prophet Muhammad ﷺ gave as his farewell speech 1,400 years ago, you will not find in any civilization from the 7th century all the way up until the 20th century where a clear statement of equality and opposition to nationalism and tribalism is there. You will not find it. No matter how hard you search in all of the European countries, countries of the Far East, Near East, it's not there. And the reason why it was there at a time when nowhere else in the world was this said is because it is revelation from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's why it could be found 1,400 years ago when nobody in the rest of the world was thinking about this. So when we look at the issues of feminism, we have to look at them from this perspective, that Islam has already given us the foundations for women's rights. They're all there. Women's rights which benefit them, they're all there.
No ideology, no political movement, no army, no civilization, no culture has ever given women rights on the ground like Islam gave. Women were being buried alive, the young girls were being killed in infancy. There was no rights. Women were chattel in all societies, including European society. They were slaves. They could be bought and sold. They had no rights. They could be killed. And then when Islam came, it gave them equal rights under the law. It also showed clearly that a woman has a soul.
Yeah, in Christianity.
Now this might sound strange. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, Kullu nafsin bima kasabat rahina. Every soul will be held responsible for its deeds. Now that might sound strange. Why are we saying women have a soul? We understand that. But the Christian church in the 20th century was asked, do women have souls? And many of the priests and ministers said, no. They're soulless creatures.
Yep.
Up until the 20th century. Islam also gave property rights to women. That she can have her own property. That the mahar, this dowry, which is supposed to be an amount of wealth that has some meaning to it, not necessarily something just symbolic, not a trifling thing, not a bribe for the father, but something which is of meaning. That is the property of the woman. And Islam established these property rights. And so, up until today, she has the right to her own property. And she has the right for her own bank account. She doesn't have to put her money in her husband's account. It also said she doesn't have to take the name of her husband. She keeps her own family name. She has her own father and her own mother. But the reality is, the constant stress in this is on independence. That these are two individuals who are married together, zawjain. When zawj is being used, it is a companion. It is zawjain, two companions. who complement each other, whose qualities should not be struggling and fighting against each other, but should be complementing each other.
Alright guys, and this is it for today's video. If you liked it, leave the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, check out the links in the description box below. We have merch, we have my ebook as well, in which I talk about my reversion journey from Christianity to Islam, but everything in between as well. I'm talking about the New Age, I'm talking about the West, other religions, Eastern mysticism, etc. Check it out, it's in the description box below. And as always, may God bless you all, much love and peace.
يا نفس إن لم تظفري لا تجزعي